Hello, Pels! I am Jodan54, and I know it's been a while. I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff at the same time, so that would be the reason for the gap in videos, but I'll be coming back to them soon with other stuff, and of course I'm streaming as well. So, doing a lot of things at the same time, but everything's going to come together soon. The important part, of course, for this video is none of that, though. The important part of this video is I saw the Mario movie earlier this week, and I liked it. So I figured I would explain some of my thoughts about the movie. I figured I'd divide this video up into a spoiler-safe section and a spoiler-filled section. The spoiler-safe section, of course, will come first. So, before talking about the Mario movie, I'd like to explain my history as a Mario fan. So, it started actually in 2006, when I was 6 years old, and I happened to, despite growing up in the 2000s, grow up with an NES. And so my first Mario games were actually the original NES Super Mario Bros. Trilogy. The first one I played was the original Super Mario Bros., then 3, then 2. Obviously the American 2. Quickly became a fan, played Donkey Kong, played some other Mario games, got a Game Boy Advance, got Mario Advance 4 on it, later got Mario Advance 1. The game that, of course, stuck with me the most, should come as no surprise if you're familiar with my channel at all, it was Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, which is still my favorite game of all time. And that game will be celebrating its 20-year anniversary this November, so I'll definitely be having something planned for that. And then, you know, got a Wii, got Mario Kart Wii, later got Mario Galaxy, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Galaxy 2. I basically played just about, I'd say, almost every single Mario game ever released at this point. Like, if you look at, there's a page on Mario Wiki called List of Games by Date, and I actually went through all of them, and was trying to play them all and get them all set up on emulators and stuff, and so I've played a lot. And so I have quite an extensive history as a Mario fan. Hell, my two favorite video games of all time, Superstar Saga and Super Paper Mario, obviously both Mario games, and if you count Superstar Saga Remake as a separate Mario game, then it's 3, actually. So let's just say I have authority when it comes to talking about something that's Mario related. I mean, I'm wearing a Mario hat, and I'm wearing a Mario shirt. I got this at Shine 2019. I might try and go to Shine this year, since it's the final one. We'll see. That said, I'm not a movie critic, so I'm not gonna complain about some of the stuff that some snobby movie critics might complain about when it comes to this movie. And I think that's fair because most people who are gonna go to this movie aren't movie critics. They're gonna be Mario fans. So we're all in the same boat here. But first, let's talk about the casting choices. It was the whole reveal that exploded the internet where, you know, you got Chris Pratt as Mario, Charlie Day as Luigi, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, Jack Black as Bowser, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, etc., etc. And I would say it was better than I thought it was going to be. I was worried that Chris Pratt was just going to be distractingly out of place, but it actually worked pretty well. You know, Jack Black killed it as Bowser, Charlie Day did a great job as Luigi, Keegan-Michael Key was great as Toad, Anya Taylor-Joy was great as Peach, Seth Rogen was Seth Rogen. I'm glad that his role was, I mean, it was decently sized, but it wasn't, like, massive. He wasn't, like, close to being a main character. He was a supporting sort of main character, but not quite, you know? So, it was, like, as much as they could get away with without being annoying. The one voice that I actually was not crazy about in the movie was Cranky Kong. I felt like his voice was, like, way out of place. You'd expect him to actually sound like, you know, an old man, like Cranky Kong actually is, but he sounded like a, well, not that. he sounded like a skateboarder dude, like a stereotypical California skateboarder dude for some reason. I don't know what was up with that, but that was out of place, and that was the voice that stuck out like a sore thumb, which thankfully also was not a large chunk of the movie, so it didn't really matter. I would have preferred if the casting choices weren't so heavily reliant on star power, which of course, how fitting for a movie whose, you know, main plot device is the power star. So I suppose it all comes together in a meta sort of way. But I would have liked it if they had Charles Martinet reprise his role as Mario instead of getting that star power. But you know, it's fine. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. Now the next thing to talk about is the visuals. Animated movie from Illumination. You saw from the trailers, it looks really, really good. The lighting, the effects, all of the attention to detail densely packed into every frame. The movie's gorgeous. There's lots of tiny little Easter eggs here and there. Like, it's definitely something that you can probably watch like 7 times and discover new shit every time. So I am probably going to watch this a second time this year at some point, especially whenever it comes to a streaming service, which was going to be my original plan to watch the movie, was just wait for a streaming service, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to see it this week, but everything was able to work out, and I was able to see it with the classic crew, in fact. An even more extensive selection of the classic crew than usual. Of course, we had Super Dynamic Gaming, we had Bruins 98, we had Neofan 64 alongside me, but we also had my man Thad from a couple videos you might remember from 2018 join us for the Mario movie experience, and it was awesome. And it's at this point, I remember I tweeted about this, the only 2 times that I've been to a movie theater post-COVID have been for Mario and Sonic. I really am a fucking nerd. In case you couldn't tell. But yeah, so yeah, visually the movie's gorgeous. It's not static. Like, there's parts of the movie, A plot and a B plot. They're lit and shot very differently from each other to contrast the different feels of them. One is bright and colorful, the other one's dark and imposing. The character models themselves, they range from looking really good to looking good. Like, you know, Bowser looks great, Peach looks fantastic, and, you know, a lot of the supporting characters, you know, the Toads look really good. There's, you know, the whole joke that was in one of the trailers, like, how can we beat him? Look at us, we're adorable! And honestly, they kind of are. Yoshis were there for like 2 seconds, and they looked fantastic, and all of the environments looked great. The Mario Brothers looked fine. Mario's head just looks a little weird. You know, that's just because we've seen Mario evolve his appearance slightly and look different. Very, very ever so slightly in tons of games, including recent ones. And seeing the animation style for him was just a little weird. And Donkey Kong looks kind of off too, but that's also just because of the expressiveness of his face. Which I guess was necessary for a movie, since they had him talking, which in general I wasn't the hugest fan of, but it wasn't like he was monologuing, so it was okay. It was perfectly tolerable, and so, like, overall the visuals were fantastic. And now it's time to get into the story and the characters. At first I'm going to be light on spoilers, then we're going to go deep into them. So as for light spoilers and like stuff that happens early in the movies and stuff that's alluded to in the trailers and some promotional materials for the movie, there is the rap that I think was from the Super Show, "We're the Mario Brothers and plumbing's our game," that one, and that's towards the beginning of the movie. And at first I thought it was just they did that as like you know, like a just purely promotional material, but no, that's actually in the movie. That's one of the first scenes in the movie. The movie basically opens up as a montage of trailer footage and promotional material, which in a way is good, because that means that the trailers and the promotional material barely spoiled anything. You know, you're 10 minutes into the movie and pretty much everything that was in the trailers has already been accounted for. You have Bowser come in on his giant floating airship lava island. He attacks the Penguin Kingdom. It's not one for one with the trailers, but like there's some slight line variations. Like, instead of Bowser saying, "Now who's gonna stop me?" he says, "And now no one can stop me." And it really makes me wonder why they changed stuff like that. That just seems like something that would confuse people, as it did me. I'm just wondering the reason for that. I mean, it still works, but the other line worked too, so why change it, right? And then it does that, then you cuts to the Mario Brothers plumbing commercial, and then we actually see what surprised me. I knew that Wrecking Crew was going to be involved in subtle ways in the movie. I didn't know it was going to be involved as much as it was directly, where basically Mario and Luigi quit their jobs at the Wrecking Crew in order to pursue their dreams, a plumbing business. The commercial airs in like a bar or something, and one of the guys from the Wrecking Crew is actually there, and he's making fun of the Mario Brothers, and basically saying that they ruined their careers, they shouldn't have left, they're not going to get any customers. You know, Mario and Luigi have very different outlooks on things, and it's what you'd expect, you know, and it's interesting seeing the characterization that they go with the Mario Brothers as somebody who has, you know, seen the evolution of their characters, where, you know, the brothers started out basically as just generic palette swaps of each other, and they didn't really have distinct characterizations until the very early 2000s. It was basically a combination of Luigi's Mansion and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga that gave the brothers, separate characterizations that would later be the norm in future games and future media, where Mario is the more, stoic, heroic, realist brother, and Luigi is more easily frightened. He's more optimistic, even when perhaps it's not realistic to be optimistic. The two bounce off each other very well, and there's tons of scenes in especially the Mario RPGs where Mario and Luigi are just shown to have really good chemistry together, and that's also something that you've seen the way they bounce off each other really well in the Super Show, for example, but also in the other Mario cartoons, Mario 3, Mario World. And so I was really hoping that we would get to see more screen time that Mario and Luigi shared together, but we really didn't. For most of it, it was Mario and Luigi separated, and Mario trying to work with Peach and Toad, and later on Donkey Kong, because Donkey Kong joins the forces against Bowser, which I suppose is a natural transition to delving deep into spoilers. But yes, Luigi gets kidnapped. Well, it's not that he gets kidnapped, it's more that the way that it works is they see a newscast while they're still in Brooklyn, because the movie starts in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's plumbing system entirely is going to shit. Water mains throughout the city are breaking, water's going flying everywhere, and the news is covering this. It cuts to Mayor Pauline, shout out to Odyssey, basically trying to keep her cool, saying everything's under control, and it's the classic clip of, somebody saying everything under control, and then they get splat in the face by something that is clearly not under control. Mario immediately becomes ambitious and tries to pursue the problem. Luigi follows him. They go down a sewer. They try to fix the water main, but then there's a green pipe that's down there, and they get sucked into it. It brings them to the Mushroom Kingdom, and along the way, the two get separated by the suction forces of two competing pipes, and Mario gets sent to, directly to the Mushroom Kingdom. Luigi gets sent to a place referred to as the Darklands, which if you've beaten Super Mario Bros. 3, you would know that Darkland is the name of World 8, which is Bowser's Dominion. And so I like that little Easter egg, that instead of just calling it Bowser's Kingdom or Bowser's Castle, they called it the Darklands. And there's more to it than just Bowser's lava area kingdom. There's more creepy atmosphere to it. It's kind of like the difference between playing a Castlevania game that is played almost exclusively in Dracula's Castle versus some of the older entries that also took some places close to Dracula's Castle but not in it. And so you'd have the creepy forests and other towns and whatever the hell Bloodlines did. and so you get to see some dry bones chase Luigi, and eventually he does get captured by Bowser and is essentially used as bait to try and bring Peach to Bowser, because Bowser's whole goal is he gets the Power Star and he wants to impress Peach and get her to marry him. Somehow they gave Bowser a plan that makes even less sense than him just directly kidnapping Peach to try and get her to marry him, which probably would have and should have been the better choice for the movie, was to have Bowser kidnap Peach instead of separating the brothers and not letting them have the great chemistry together. But, On top of that, the way that they handled Peach was just really weird. They essentially had her as some sort of, basically a natural pro gamer, where she's able to master the platforming elements of a Mario game, because the whole idea is, Mario meets Peach because Toad is bringing him to Peach to try and get Mario to learn the ropes so that he can battle Bowser and rescue his brother. And in order to learn the ropes, he has to learn the actual platforming that you play in the games, dodging the fire bars, watching out for the donut blocks, dodging piranha plants, and it's like this fake course that they go through. There's mechanical chomping piranha plants and stuff. It looks cool. It's clearly the fire bars aren't actually fire bars. They're probably made of yarn or something, but they're spinning the way the fire bars do. It's just weird seeing Peach be so much better at than Mario. There's never been a Mario game where Mario doesn't know how to jump across platforms. So I don't know what they were thinking when they decided to have this turn into a Rocky training montage. It doesn't last too long. But still kind of weird just seeing, if Peach is this pro, why does she even need Mario, right? On the topic of the scene going by very quickly. That's another thing about this movie. Every fucking scene goes by really quickly. It's just immediately on to the next concept, immediately on to the next idea. There's no downtime. Before I went to see this movie, I was hearing some people talk about how one of their main complaints for the movie was that it was too short and that it could have benefited from being a little longer. You know, the whole vibe that I was getting even before I watched the movie was that the movie was, you know, it was taking the source material and it was playing it very safe, which I think for territory as uncharted as this, I think playing it safe is perfectly fine, but it definitely could have benefited from some extra screen time so that you could like blink between scenes, you know? Okay, you've learned the platforming. All right, fire flower time. All right, we've looked at the stars. We've done a subtle reference to Galaxy. All right, boom. Let's go and fight Donkey Kong in platforming style gladiatorial combat, which was kind of cool. I also like that Diddy was shown off there, and I didn't notice it, but some of my friends who were there noticed that apparently Dixie was in the crowd as well. So they were definitely throwing some nice Donkey Kong references in there. It is funny watching the Donkey Kong fight scene and seeing how everything is basically structured two-dimensionally in terms of the platforms. Like you can probably just, you know, push someone in the Z-axis and they can't land on anything. But nobody does that because it's 2D platforming, and so it's kind of a fun little joke like that. There's also there's a chase sequence that kind of alludes to that at the beginning of the movie when they're still in Brooklyn, where despite still being in Brooklyn, pretty much the entire chase sequence is two-dimensional, and it was very clearly like, you know, done intentionally to get the feel of a Mario game, which you'd think in doing so Mario would have the skills necessary to do that platforming course, but no, they had to give some illumination slapstick in there, I suppose. All I'm hoping is that should there be a sequel, Mario and Luigi should, like, you know, be good at what they do, or at the very least Mario, and then Mario teaches Luigi, and then Luigi can jump higher or something. They incorporated Peach's floating ability with her dress into one of the scenes of her doing the platforming. They might as well include Luigi's floaty jump. Perhaps make Toad run super fast, you know. You might as well include the entire characterization of Mario 2 in 3D World while you're at it. Especially if you're going to put as much attention to detail as you did to the Mario Kart scene. Because, and if it seems like I'm going ridiculously fast and out of order, that's sort of the experience of watching the fucking movie. Essentially, the idea is Peach is tipped off that Bowser is approaching the Mushroom Kingdom, and so she intends to build an army to fend off Bowser's army. But she needs help, so she goes to the Kongs and tries to get the help of Donkey Kong and the others, and in order to do that, Mario has to beat Donkey Kong. He does so, and so then they end up teaming up, but then they're short on time, so they gotta take a shortcut, and in doing so, they get the Mario Karts. And there's this entire scene, they go into a whole ass auto body shop that's massive, and they can make customizable Mario Karts. And during this scene where they're getting these Mario Karts, there's an orchestral version of the Mario Kart 8 menu theme that's playing. The one that goes dun 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 dun. And it sounds so good, which is another thing to talk about is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is fucking phenomenal, and I'm going to need to download it because the orchestral versions of all of these different Mario themes are amazing. You know, there's some different versions of the leitmotif used for Peach's Castle in Mario 64. There's of course, the main Mario theme, the Mario World theme is in there. There's a couple other Mario Kart references that are in there. But the one that really got me to pop off was when I heard the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker theme, when Toad was introducing himself to Mario. And it was like, it perfectly transitioned from like the regular Mario theme into it. And all of a sudden I'm hearing dun 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 and I was so happy. Oh my fucking god, it was so good. But yeah, so the soundtrack entirely through is incredible. It's not too much of a surprise. They had Koji Kondo directly involved in the soundtrack, which was such a good choice. And so, yeah, we have an entire soundtrack filled with great Mario themes. And much like the rest of the movie, the soundtrack doesn't let up. It feels like an entire movie-long symphony, basically, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So yeah, they get the Mario Karts, and there's this whole Mario Kart sequence. It's awesome. It's got all of these great references. There's even a scene earlier before then where there's, presumably it's Funky Kong, because it's a Kong wearing sunglasses in a Mario Kart. You can't get much more Funky Kong than that. He is essentially escorting them to Cranky Kong and Donkey Kong. Along the way, he eats a banana and then drops the peel, Mario Kart style, and then somebody not only slips on it while driving on that same road, they then crash and you see a whole ass explosion in the background. Like, it wasn't enough for them to wipe out. They had to actually create a whole ass fucking fireball explosion when they exploded, or when they crashed too. It was so over the top, it was amazing. There's a whole scene where, Mario is jumping from enemy cart to enemy cart with the Koopas that are driving the cars, and in fact, he does, in fact, stomp Koopas in that scene. And in doing so, he grabs one of the shells, throws it, wipes some other people out. There's this Koopa with a blue shell, and he's got like this giant crusher cart, and then in a last-ditch effort to knock out Mario, he actually does the blue shell explosion and goes right after him. He does say blue shell specifically, which is interesting, because I don't think that the official canonical term for the blue shell in Mario Kart has ever actually been blue shell. I'm pretty sure it's always just been called spiny shell, even though there's no spiny that there's no spiny that has a blue shell to my knowledge in a Mario game. Or at the very least, there's no spiny that has a blue shell, let alone a blue shell with wings. But that hasn't stopped pretty much every Mario Kart game from just calling it spiny shell. Hell, there's this musical number with lyrics in one of the Mario plus Rabbids games that references this, and even that calls it a spiny shell. So this movie might be the first official Mario material to actually call it a blue shell, which is interesting to think about. But yes, it explodes, it tears apart part of the track. There's also a part where Mario races off the side of the track to land on another side of the track, and it was very Ultra Shortcut-esque, and the Classic Crew and I had just got done binge watching a couple Summoning Salt videos, so immediately all of us were like, yo, Ultra Shortcut, let's go, dude. Including the video that had an Ultra Shortcut that wasn't even Mario, which was Lego Star Wars, the best Summoning Salt video to date. And so, yeah, that was exciting to see. But yes, the blue shell explodes part of the track. Mario and Donkey Kong fall to the water below. They're eaten by I would assume it was supposed to be the eel from Mario 64. Is it officially called Unagi? Because I've heard the eel called Unagi. I don't know if that's its official name, but yes, the eel sucks them up, and it's like a classic, belly of the beast scene. And I think they do something with Donkey Kong's broken cart to make the eel burp them back out. They infiltrate Bowser's wedding, which is happening. There's a classic wedding crash scene, which, might I add, I watched Sonic 2 and the Mario movie, and both of those have a wedding crash scene. Truthfully, the one in Sonic 2 was better, but that's also because it was one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in any movie. That shit was amazing. They crashed the wedding. Peach was already ready to do that because, she had some flowers supposedly, and then, she rejected Bowser. One of them was an ice flower. She freezes him and then starts freezing the other people in the audience, which includes King Bob-omb and King Boo. That was a nice touch. Then, of course, there's this whole fight scene. Luigi is about to be lowered into the lava, and Bowser explicitly says that he intends to kill Luigi. Surprising hearing them just outright say the word kill multiple times in the movie. I was not expecting that, especially considering so many Twitter users nowadays are afraid of saying the word kill. They put like the exclamation point instead. Like they think the boogeyman is gonna come out and like steal their toenails or something if they say the word kill on Twitter or something. I don't know. But Bowser wasn't afraid to say it, and he wasn't afraid to say it multiple times. Same thing with that Luma that was also trapped in the cage and was like completely delirious and was like, sweet release of death, I want it. Which did get kind of old after a while. But, yeah, Luigi barely gets saved, and the two brothers finally unite, and not coincidentally, after the two brothers unite, we get the best series of scenes in the movie, where the Mario brothers start working together to take down Bowser. There's a gigantic, I don't know what, I can't remember exactly what it was called, if it was called like Bomb Bill, or if it was actually called Bonsai Bill, but a Bonsai Bill looking Bill goes after Mario, and Mario, I believe he had the Tanuki suit at this point, lured the Bonsai Bill into the pipe that leads back to Brooklyn. Along the way, it explodes, and this insane shockwave like sucks part of the Mushroom Kingdom into Brooklyn, and the fight continues in Brooklyn, and it's complete insanity. Buildings are getting destroyed, and there's this scene where you think that Bowser is about to incinerate Mario, and then Luigi saves the day. He holds up this manhole to block the fire blast, and then the two race and grab the Power Star before Bowser can, and then it's a crazy sequence where they beat the shit out of Bowser. They give him a mini mushroom to make him tiny. I think they literally put him in a jar, and everybody I was with was like, yeah, we're all thinking the same thing. Yeah, and then they go back to the Mushroom Kingdom, and that's essentially where the movie ends. There are some other scenes throughout the movie. There's some scenes toward the beginning where it's actually Mario and Luigi's family, and Mario's dad, I believe, is one of the characters that's voiced by Charles Martinet, and I think there's one other guy that Charles Martinet voiced who is like a fan of the Mario Brothers, who is like in the bar playing arcade Donkey Kong, which was kind of interesting. And of course, it's one of those scenes where, like, despite like half of a major city getting leveled during a fight scene, everybody comes out from their half-broken apartments and is like, yeah, you saved the day, even though they fucking came out of nowhere. Like, that's my boys, without even knowing what the hell is going on. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, the movie moves at a very rapid pace. But that also means that you're never bored throughout the movie, which is probably the main plus that they were trying to go for, was to keep everybody engaged the entire time. But I think they definitely could have done with some extra screen time, which is one of a couple minor issues that can easily be fixed in a sequel. And they are definitely intent on there being some sort of sequel, whatever it is, because there's a post-credits scene, and it was not at all what I was expecting. I am so glad I was not spoiled for this beforehand. It cuts back into the sewers that connect in Brooklyn that connect to the Mushroom Kingdom, zooms in, and there's a Yoshi egg. After seeing the Yoshis in the movie for like 2 seconds, I was like, God damn it, Yoshi's my favorite video game character. He's the reason that I watch Melee to see Amsa win majors. And and I'm trying to... I wanted to see more Yoshi, and he just wasn't there. And then the movie ends with a Yoshi egg, pretty much guaranteeing that the next movie is going to be Yoshi's Island related, and I'm so excited for that. They better not make the Yoshis talk, please. Please just give them the cute little voices that we've been hearing this whole time. Don't make them talk. Don't give them like a, hello, I am Yoshi. Like, I swear to fucking God, I'm gonna lose my mind. Just give them the regular voices, they work, okay? Come on. I loved to see the Yoshi ending, and I would love to see them explore the Yoshi stuff in the future. I don't know if the next movie is gonna be like a prequel, where it's like actual Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and it's the babies, which there was a flashback while Luigi was being kidnapped, where like, it was baby Mario and baby Luigi, and baby Luigi was getting bullied, and baby Mario stuck up for him, and it was an adorable scene. And so they could definitely, it definitely seems like when a movie does that, they made those baby Mario and baby Luigi models for that movie for like a scene that lasted 15 seconds at most. I'd be shocked if that's all those models are ever going to be used for. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting a baby Mario and baby Luigi movie, which, yeah, get ready for a movie with a lot of crying if that's the case, I suppose. Lots of babies crying. You know, I would still take that over hearing a Yoshi talk. There's a lot of ways that the next Mario movie can go. I'm just hoping that we get to see more screen time with Mario and Luigi together, regardless of if they're babies or not, because that's what this movie missed the most, was Mario and Luigi working together. Make no mistake, Mario and Luigi are the most iconic duo in video games and possibly in all media. So you need to have them together on the big screen. It made sense, I suppose. Like, you can make the argument, and I've heard people make this argument, and it's a valid argument for sure, where, you know, one of the reasons they had Mario rescue Luigi is because Luigi's the one guy that Mario knew before he went to the Mushroom Kingdom. He had a connection to Luigi. He wanted to save him. That was the motivation. He wasn't just saving some princess he had never heard of just because he heard that she was pretty. He was saving his brother and his lifelong best friend. And so, like, as much as I would have preferred them stick to the traditional Peach gets kidnapped, rescue her story for the movie, it did work in the context of a more character-bound story, especially if they're gonna expand on it a lot more effectively in the next movie by having the two stick together. That's what I'm hoping for the most with this movie. And, like, it's not a matter of if we're gonna get a sequel. It is a matter of when. Make no fucking mistake. This movie, I think, has already made $1 billion, and it's certainly gonna make more than that. It's one of the highest grossing animated movies of all time, which is not shocking. It's the pinnacle of mass appeal. It's a big screen blockbuster film with the most iconic video game character in history. So, like, it's gonna bring more people to the movie theater than just about anything could. Which means that, if you think that this is it, that it's just gonna be, okay, we're gonna get Sonic 3, we're gonna get another Mario movie. If you think it's just gonna be those franchises that are video games that have movies, oh man, you're wrong. There is also that, like, Sonic TV series that focuses on Knuckles that's happening. I don't know what's up with that, but apparently there's a lot of really cool references that they're doing with that. I assure you, when it comes to video game movies, this is only the beginning. Now that we're actually getting good video game movies, we're not gonna stop getting video game movies. Now that they've become successful, now that we're getting successful video game movies, welcome to the age of video game movies. There's gonna be so many more, and TV series as well, like there's that Last of Us TV series. I assure you, we are gonna get a lot more, so it's only the question of what other Nintendo series are gonna get adaptations, and which ones are gonna be the first ones, and which ones could be good. I could definitely see a Zelda adaptation happen. I am hoping that if they do that, it's either 2D animation or live action. I don't think Zelda would work as a 3D animated movie or series, but if they do it like anime style 2D animation, I think that would work really well. What I think would be the most interesting series actually to see on the big screen, or just in general, would be live action adaptation of Metroid. I think that has a lot of potential. Get a good actor to play Samus and have like this dark, gritty, isolated, atmospheric, you know, like Ripley Alien style series for Metroid, with Samus on a bunch of different missions, and make it, you know, super futuristic, have a bunch of grotesque alien designs. I think that has a lot of potential to be good, whether it be a TV series or a movie. Live action Metroid, I think, could work very, very well. This also raises the question of, do we think we're gonna see Kirby Right Back at Ya come right back at ya? Are we gonna see the revival of Right Back at Ya, complete with DDD's 4Kids voice? Are we gonna hand him another bag of them chips? You know, like, at this point, like, the movies, not just Mario, the Sonic movies have been successful as well. So, like I said, this is only the beginning. We're gonna see so much more. And I have to say, after seeing the Mario movie, I am excited for the future. Because in conclusion, it was actually a good movie. I was worried. I kept my expectations non-existent. They were not low nor high. They just didn't exist. So that, you know, I wasn't demanding a specific level of quality out of the movie. I was just hoping that it would be good. And it was. I don't know if I'd call it a great movie, but it was good. And it was fun, and it was filled with video game references, which is about as much as you can ask for a movie like this. I certainly feel sorry for the movie critics that went into this movie and then complained that it wasn't Citizen Kane. But yeah, that's on you for expecting Citizen Kane out of a Mario movie. This movie did its job. It did it well. It could have done it better, but it's important to look on the bright side, because if you don't, you're never going to be satisfied. So yeah, I would say this movie was good. I'd recommend seeing it yourself, because at this point, a Nintendo Cinematic Universe is probably inevitable. So buckle the fuck up. It's happening. That's about it for my thoughts for the Mario movie, and I gotta go download that Mario movie soundtrack now. So I'm out. Keep looking forward, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.